First story, all right. So let me tell you a little something about my life. Me and my wife, we've been hitched for a good 16 years now. But guess what? Recently I stumbled upon something I wish I never had. Turns out, my dear wife, she's been straying. Yeah, 4 years of betrayal, right under my nose. How did I find out, you ask? Well, I had to hire a private eye to dig up the dirt. And you know what? It wasn't even shocking to me. She's been cozying up to none other than my own flesh and blood, my brother. Can you believe it? 4 years, and I didn't have a clue. But here's where it gets juicy. See, I'm not one to leave things to chance. No, sir, not me. When we tied the knot, I made sure to slide in an infidelity clause into our prenup. Crafty, huh? But you know what's even funnier? I bet she doesn't even remember signing that thing. Thought she was sly, thought she was discreet. But guess what? I've been around the block, seen my fair share of backstabbing. Childhood wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, let me tell you. I've been through the ringer, mistreated, neglected, manipulated. And that, my friend, that's left me with a hefty dose of skepticism. I never really trusted anyone, not my friends, not my family, and certainly not the woman who swore to stand by my side. So when I dropped those divorce papers on her, oh boy, did she put on a show. Tears, pleas, promises to spill the beans about her little rendezvous. But you know what? I didn't give a damn. All I wanted was her out of my life, and my dear brother too. That's been my mantra, you see. Hurt me, and I'm out. No second chances. Now, here's where I'm scratching my head. I laid it all out on the table, asked her straight up if she'd be down for an open relationship. Polyamory, you name it. And what did she say? A firm no. So what gives, huh? Is she just selfish, or is there something more sinister at play? These are the questions keeping me up at night. Why the denial? Why the tears when caught red-handed? Do cheaters really think they'll get a free pass? Ha, not on my watch. Oh, and here's a little kicker for you. I'm not stopping at the divorce. Oh no, I'm dragging my brother through the mud too. Alienation of affection, ever heard of it? Yeah, he's in for a world of hurt. And as for her, well, let's just say I've got a little surprise in store. Revenge is sweet, my friend, and I'm not about to let them off easy. But hey, enough about my drama. I've got places to be, people to see. I'll toss in a few more questions later, but for now, just remember one thing, I may be indifferent, but I sure as hell won't be played for a fool. You know, I'm sitting here in the midst of all this chaos, and I gotta tell you, I just don't care anymore. It's like, what's the point, right? My wife, she's furious at me for not being angry about the whole thing. Can you believe that? She's going on about how I never loved her. Well, newsflash, lady, I did. Until I found out the truth, that is. It's like, damn, what is wrong with people these days? Everyone's expecting me to blow my top, but honestly, I'm way past that. All I want is to cut ties with people like her. And you know what? I believe in seeking revenge and then moving on. Yeah, call it my way of healing. So I went out for a few drinks with some buddies to drown my sorrows. And you know what's wild? They weren't even shocked about what went down. Turns out, they'd been talking smack about her for ages. And here I was, defending her left and right just because she was my wife and all. But it's like I was wearing these rose-colored glasses, you know. Couldn't see the messed up warning signs staring me right in the face. So I stumbled back home a bit drunk, and I let it all out. Told her she'd embarrassed me in front of everyone, accused her of using me for my money, called her a gold digger. I was itching for her to be out of my life. And then her response? Can you believe it? She tells me not to sue my own brother. Like, seriously, what the hell? Talk about adding insult to injury. Double betrayal, man. And she couldn't even muster up an apology or a shred of honesty. I even offered her an open relationship once, you know, because I was away on business so often, trying to provide for the family. And this is the thanks I get. But wait, it gets even crazier. When I confronted my brother about it, things got ugly real quick. We got into it, ended up throwing punches. I exposed him in front of his whole family, his kids, our parents. And you know what? Turns out, our parents knew about the affair the whole damn time. Can you believe the nerve? So here I am feeling like throwing in the towel on life. my brother's taunting me, bragging about sleeping with my wife, doing all sorts of vile stuff in my own bed. It's like a nightmare I can't wake up from. All I can think to do is sue the both of them, make him pay for what they've done. And as for my parents, I've had it. Made it crystal clear I never want to see them again. Back in the day when I was hurting, they took the other guy's side, took my brother's side. And now, this. I'm done with him. To all those who think I deserve this mess because of my trust issues, well, here's your proof. This is exactly why I'll never trust another soul again. I've tried therapy, read all the self-help books, put in the work, and look where it's gotten me. Back to square one. I busted my ass to provide for my family, brought them over from our poor country, even forked over millions for their visas. And this is the thanks I get? Unbelievable. I know I'm ranting, and I'm sorry for all the cursing and anger. I thought I was past being angry, but now that everything's out in the open, I'm just plain disgusted. A second story. Let me tell you about this girl I used to date back in my late teens and early 20s as. We were together for a good year and a half, maybe even longer. She worked at this clothing store in the mall. So one Friday afternoon, I drop her off at work, right? But here's the kicker: as she walks into the store, she quickly walks back out, tearing up, saying, "I just wanted to see you again and say goodbye." Now, I thought that was really odd, but she had to get back to work, so we didn't have time to talk things through. She mentioned she was going on a trip with a friend, probably to Disney or somewhere like that, over the weekend. So I just told her to give me a call when she arrived. Now, this was back in '97, before cell phones were common. I tried paging her that night, but she never called back. I didn't have any other way to reach her, so I figured they were probably at a park or somewhere without a payphone. Fast forward to Saturday morning, around 10 or 11 a.m. I'm sitting at my parents' house when the phone rings. It's my mom's best friend asking to speak to me on the phone, which struck me as a bit unusual. She then asks, "Doesn't your girlfriend drive a red Nissan Sentra with those specific stickers on the back?" I confirmed that she did, and then she drops the bombshell. "Well, I don't know what's going on, but I saw her pull up to my next-door neighbor's house yesterday, and she ended up leaving with some guy in a car." They seemed pretty close. My heart sank at that moment because everything started to make sense. I asked for more details about her neighbor, and it turns out that her neighbor's son was her ex-boyfriend of 5 years who had joined the Navy. Crazy, right? It's such a small world, you know. The chances of her ending up right next to my mom's best friend were incredibly slim. So I kept paging her multiple times, even paging with an emergency, but I never received any response. Obviously, Saturday night was a sleepless one for me. Finally, on Sunday around 2 p.m., she calls. She asks what the emergency was, and I play dumb, just asking her how her trip to Disney was. She starts talking as if everything is normal, but then I confront her about my mom's best friend seeing her with someone else. She admits to everything and starts apologizing like crazy. I don't really remember the details, but that was pretty much the end of it. It was a complete shock because I truly believed she was the love of my life. We had so much in common and were really close. This betrayal came out of nowhere. Later, I come to discover that she actually cheated on her ex-boyfriend with me while he was serving in the Navy, and I had no clue about it. Throughout our entire year and a half together, she had been writing to him all along, and when he returned, they basically got back together. Despite all that, about 6 months later, she came crawling back, and stupidly, we continued our on-again, off-again relationship for another 5 years. We would break up and get back together. As far as I know, she never cheated on me again, but who knows? The last year we were together was awful, hardly any closeness. I have to admit, back then, I was weak, and I guess I was holding on to the idea of how things were in the first year. She looked exactly like Kate Winslet, especially during the Titanic craze. I can't tell you how many times we were stopped by people asking her for an autograph. I swear, they could be twins separated at birth. It happened at least a few times a week, and even more when we were out partying downtown. The second time I got cheated on was with another girl I was dating for about a year. Little did I know, she had also cheated on her boyfriend at that time to be with me. We were actually living together during that period. I had experienced a layoff, and to be honest, I had become pretty pathetic. But I still treated her like a queen, although I also did some really stupid things. Anyway, I started feeling like something was off, so I installed a keylogger on the computer. I ended up getting her email password and read her emails, where I found messages to her best friend saying things like, "It sucks. I really like this person at work, but I have to deal with this stupid boyfriend." It was incredibly depressing to see the person I love talking about how I was hindering her from cheating on me. It turned out she'd only made out with that guy, nothing more, but I immediately broke up with her. What sucks is that we had to continue living together for another 3 or 4 months. It was tough. So basically, what I've learned is that the saying is true: if a girl cheats on someone to be with you, she'll likely cheat on you too. Sadly, I didn't know that either of my exes had cheated to be with me. And now I've been married for 9 years, have 2 wonderful kids, and I'm with a woman who is 100 times better in every way. I just hope she didn't cheat on someone to be with me. Third story. So, here's the deal. I'm 25, been with my guy Asher, who's 29, for nearly 7 years now. We took the plunge and got engaged about 6 months back. Now, let me tell you about Asher. He ain't perfect, but man, he's always had this deep love and admiration for me. Like, he practically worships the ground I walk on. People notice it too. They see how much he adores me, how he treats me like I'm some kind of queen. But hey, it hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows. We've had our fair share of rough patches, you know. Mental health issues, grief, loss, you name it. But through it all, Asher's been my rock. He's the one who dragged me to therapy when I was a hot mess, kept us glued together even when I felt like our relationship was hanging by a thread. So imagine my shock when I get this message from some woman named Jay, claiming she's been on dates with Asher. Tinder dates, no less. Now, at first, I'm like, nah, this can't be happening. Asher's not the cheating type. He's been cheated on before, sure, but not by me. And let me tell you, he takes loyalty seriously. Like, more seriously than I do. But then, Jay drops these bombshell texts on me. Memes, romantic messages, even a picture of them together at some fancy restaurant. And to top it all off, she's got a voicemail of Asher claiming he deleted some app. Now, I know I should have trusted Asher, but this was hitting me hard, you know. So I call him up, demand answers. Asher's shocked, denies it all, but I'm not buying it. I need proof. So he hauls his butt over, hands me his phone like it's no big deal. I start digging, looking for any trace of this J chick. Nada. But those memes? They're there, clear as day, in Asher's photo gallery. And when I ask him about this supposed client's wife, he spins some tale about a late meeting and a dessert snapshot. But let's be real here. Something ain't adding up. And I'm stuck here, torn between wanting to believe my man and feeling like I've been played for a fool. Ain't love grand? Asher's caught in this whirlwind of accusations, and I gotta admit, it's throwing me for a loop. He's trying to explain away all this evidence that's staring us in the face, but man, it ain't adding up. First off, there's this whole business about him meeting with some clients, right? He tells me about these meetings beforehand, how the husband's always late and they end up sharing dessert. Now, I'm cool with it. Tell him I trust him. No biggie. But then Jay comes out of left field with these claims about them meeting up, going on dates, the whole 9 yards. And Asher's standing there, looking like a deer caught in headlights. He's got no answers for the voicemail. Can't explain why there's pics of him and Jay hanging out. But here's the kicker. He admits to these meetings with the clients but flat out denies anything with Jay. Now, I'm sitting there with my family, going over all this evidence Jay sent me. And let me tell you, we're all scratching our heads. My dad, bless his heart, says he'd have bet his life savings that Asher wouldn't do something like this. None of us saw it coming, you know. So we're all sitting there, trying to make sense of it all. Asher's swearing up and down that the pic was taken by Jay's husband, not some waiter like she claimed. He's saying he's devoted to me, would never cheat, yada yada. But man, it's hard to swallow. We're throwing all these questions at him, trying to poke holes in Jay's story. Maybe it's a scam, we say. Maybe she's making all this up. But Asher's sticking to his guns, saying he only talked to Jay in person, never sent her any memes, none of that. And then there's this whole thing about Tinder. Asher's saying he never touched the app, shows us proof he never downloaded it. But still, there's this nagging feeling in the back of my mind, you know. Like, what if he's been lying to me this whole time? So we're left sitting there, grappling with this bombshell that's been dropped on us. And honestly, I don't know what to believe anymore. All I know is, things ain't gonna be the same between me and Asher after this. Man, this whole thing is like a punch in the gut, you know? I mean, just when you think you know someone inside out, bam, they hit you with something you never saw coming. So my dad, being the tech whiz he is, sends that voicemail over to one of his buddies who's good with this stuff. And this dude says, nah, it ain't been messed with. So there goes that theory out the window. We dig into Jay's background, looking for anything that might explain why she'd do this. And yeah, there's some stuff that doesn't quite add up, but nothing that screams total lie either. Then, this morning, my dad decides to take matters into his own hands. Drives 4 hours to this restaurant, all in the hopes of snagging that security footage. And guess what? It ain't pretty. The tape shows Asher and Jay walking in together, like they're a pair of lovebirds or something. And then there's this waiter snapping pics of them with the dessert, just like Jay said. And get this, Asher's chowing down on that dessert, even though he told us he didn't order it. Plus, there's no sign of Jay's so-called husband swooping in at the end. Nope, just Asher and Jay, skipping out together like they're off to some romantic sunset. I'm sitting there, watching this footage with my own eyes, and I just can't believe it. Asher's sticking to his story, though. Swears up and down that Jay wasn't a date. They just met through work. Blah, blah, blah. And he's saying he just forgot about canceling his dessert order, and he made up the whole husband thing, because he was feeling the heat from my family. He's crying, man. Telling me all these sweet nothings, swearing I'm the only one he's ever loved, that he's devoted to me. And I want to believe him, you know? But how can I, when all the evidence is staring me in the face? I'm begging him to come clean, to just admit it so we can move past this. But he's standing firm, saying he can't confess to something he didn't do. And here I am, torn between the Asher I thought I knew and the Asher who's standing right in front of me, denying everything. I've made my decision, though. I'm sticking with him, for now at least. But damn, it's like walking on eggshells, not knowing if I can trust him anymore. And it hurts, man, it really does, knowing that the person I leaned on for support is the one who caused all this mess in the first place. Man, this whole situation's got me spinning. I mean, I've known Asher for years, right? And now, suddenly, I'm faced with all this doubt. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, you know? Like, people mess up sometimes. But Asher's standing firm, saying cheating ain't just some oopsie-daisy, and he's adamant he didn't do it. And honestly, with our history, I want to believe him. I even threw out the idea of an open relationship, thinking maybe that'd help, but he shot it down. He swears up and down that if he did cheat, he'd fess up. But here we are, stuck in this mess. We decided to hit pause on the wedding plans for a bit and focus on patching things up. I'm not ready to throw away all those years we've spent together, you know? But at the same time, I can't shake this feeling of wishing I never found out about any of this. I mean, big UPS to Jay for coming forward and all, but sometimes ignorance really is bliss, you know? I wish I could just make Asher spill the beans, 'cause his denial's just adding to the confusion. I miss the warmth of his embrace, the feeling of safety it used to give me. But now, it's like that's all tainted, you know? I keep wishing this was all just some bad dream, or that Asher would give me some sort of explanation. And don't even get me started on feeling like I'm not enough. Like, am I not pretty enough, smart enough, thin enough? It's a whole mess of insecurities swirling around in my head. And on top of all that, dealing with the reality of being neurotypical, Asher used to be my rock through all of it. But now I don't even know what to believe anymore. I wish I could turn back time, you know? Ignore that damn message from Jay or make it so Asher never went and did something like this in the first place. But here we are, stuck in this mess, trying to piece together what's left of our relationship.